But this is where we got up to last time. All right, the Rebbe here, this was a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1992, and he's talking about the first word of the Bible. And the first word of the Bible hints at the creation of the world and also the Jewish people and the Torah. And the Rebbe stresses to us that the Jewish people and the Torah are before the world, above the world. The Jewish people are God's people. And of course, God was before the world. I mean, if you want to say that before the world, when God created the world, that's when the whole idea of before and after occurred. So God started creating the world. Then he also started this whole thing of time and before and after. We have no idea what this means, but that's the fact. So the Jewish people were higher in level. That's the essay, the mime, or what's called all the bar mitzvah boys say in Chabad. But God doesn't want it to stay that way. The reason that the Jewish people are above the world, or in the language that he uses, God chose the Jewish people. So that he chose the Jewish people means they're totally above and removed from the world. But the reason he chose the Jewish people is to show that he also chose the world. That God wants this world to be here. And he put the Jewish people in the world in order to educate the world how important the world is. And that they do through the Torah, which also preceded the world. So the purpose of the Jews is to be in the world and use the Torah in order to make the world a meaningful, blessed, holy, happy place. And that's all hinted at the word Breshit. How so? Breshit, simple meaning Breshit means in the beginning, God created the world. That's a simple word. God created the world. But Rashi, Rabbeinu Shlomo Yitzchaki, he's the main commentator of the Torah. He brings from the Midrash. He brings as the first explanation that the Breshit means two beginnings, the Torah and the Jewish people. So the Torah and the Jewish people, they preceded the world, but on the other hand, they are an integral part of the world, and their purpose is to elevate the whole world. That's something like what we just finished learning in Torah Or. The potential highness of this world. Okay. Says the Rebbe, if so, we're in the world. Let's get practical over here. We are in the world. We depend on the non-Jews. We have to go according to the laws of the countries that we're in. Says the Rebbe, that's only in regard to regular mundane life that doesn't interfere with or contradict what it says in the Torah. But if anything that does contradict what it says in the Torah, we have to be very strong and very brave and assertive, that nothing can dissuade us or move us from any law of the Torah to make us work on Shabbat or eat not kosher food or etc. We have to be very strong. And the reason for that is not just for our own benefit, even though it is for our own benefit, certainly, but for the benefit of the whole world. When the Jewish people do what God wants, so that makes the world a dwelling place for God. In other words, God, so to speak, needs the world in order that his will should be done. He wants us to use the world properly. So if the Jews don't use the world properly, then that is a big disbenefit to the whole entire world. So it says, therefore, we have to do the laws of the place wherever we are and act in the customs even of the place wherever we are, right? If you're living in America, you can't go walking around with a kilt on. You live in Scotland, you have to wear a kilt. I'm just giving, I don't know if that's true, right? You don't wear sombreros or something in Iceland, if you're Jewish in Iceland. And if you live in Mexico, you do wear sombreros, right? In other words, You have to, you can dress the way the people dress. It's not there. Of course, like we said before, there's a lot of Hasidic groups that say, no way, you cannot dress the way the people dress. We have to look, which is a good point, which is a very good point. But the Rebbe is saying, no, okay, there's certain concessions you can make. We see that Chabad also dresses differently than the non-Jews in the place, but not necessarily, not necessarily. If a person wants to dress like everybody else, but he does all the commandments and does everything, it's okay. That's right. Also, the same thing is, what about the kindness, the benefits that we receive by means of the righteous non-Jews in the time of exile? They give us all sorts of benefits. The government supports Jewish learning. They enabled us to build synagogues, etc. And therefore, we have to give thanks to them. And until Shadarshu at Shalom Meir, you have to pray for the benefit of the country wherever you are. B'shlomo yiyeh lechem shalom. Right? So Jews that live in Iran, there are Jews living in Iran. And so they pray for the benefit of the king of Iran, for the government of Iran. Because in a way, that's a good thing that they're doing. If maybe nothing else that they do is good, but that for sure is good. Right? That they allow Jews to live there and they allow them to pray, etc. So therefore, we pray for the benefit of whatever country we were in. It's not because we need their kindness. Exactly the opposite. Chesed lumen chatas. It says the kindness that they give to us is considered to be a sin. But kasher makablim mehem chasadim shemesayim. If we receive from them help that helps Judaism in Torah and commandments, this is not bad kindness that they do. This is kindness that God wanted to give us, but he gave us through them. Hamamshich the Bnei Yisrael by means of the non-Jews, because God wanted it to be this way. So therefore, it's not a sin. This is very relevant to now. I mean, right? America gives us a lot of benefits, but we can think that because America gives us benefits, therefore we have to, bow down to them. We have to, there's a word I didn't say to that, ingratiate ourselves, that we have to, flatter them and say nice things, and we have to make concessions to them, right? So now we see like an example. What we're supposed to do is totally decimate all of Gaza. And as soon as they see, the Rebbe said, as soon as they see that we're serious, they'll all leave. It could be we won't have to fire one bullet, but they see that we're not serious. And so not only do they not leave, but they attack again. And this has been going on since the beginning of the Medinat Yisrael, right? The whole Zionist idea that we can do it on our own and we don't need God, right? This is a very, it's a very, a good idea. It's good that you don't rely totally on God. You have to do on your own. Of course you have to do on your own. That's a very good thing, right? But on the other hand, you have to be a partner with God as well. And for sure, you should not concede on Torah and commandments in order to find favor in the eyes of the non-Jews. So let's say to meet with them on Shabbat and maybe eat a little bit of not kosher food, and they invite you to eat with them. You're not going to say, I don't want to eat this, Here we made a concession, we bought for you, and we know everyone else is eating, rabbit, and you are going to eat chicken. But is it kosher chicken? I don't want to say that. It's not going to, why not? Because maybe you'll get mad and maybe this, and maybe that, right? You have to be nice, you have to smile, you have to do whatever they say. So now America came over here and they're saying, stop fighting, right? Leave them alone. We say, oh yes, we'll stop fighting. Of course, we're afraid. It's forbidden to be afraid of the non-Jews. It's forbidden. Maybe individual cases, maybe, right? If a non-Jew puts a gun to a Jew's head and says, eat this not kosher food or I'll kill you, you're supposed to eat the not kosher food. But as a whole entire nation, no way. We can't say we're relinquish Torah and the commandments in order to find favor in the eyes of the non-Jews. Either benefiting us, they're benefiting us because God wants to. They're not giving us anything. God is giving to us. The only one that we're beholden to is to God. But we have to say thank you to them. We have to be normal. It is coming through them. the Hosif we can add on. She'inyan now, the Shabbos Bereshit. So what's the point? Why am I saying this? God put the Jews in the world purposely, but we're here in the world to change and benefit the world. Not we're here that the world should change us. And this is on Shabbat Bereshit is found even more this emphasis. And it says the Rebbe on this year especially, this year, the year that the Rebbe spoke, this was Tafshin Nun Beit. Now our year is Tafshin Pei Daled, but the letters that we have stand for pretty much the same thing. Nun Beit is, it says, Niflaot Bakal, there's miracles in everything. And our year is Pei Daled, means Pilaot. Pilaot means the same thing as Niflaot. Pilaot, right? Dgulot, great. You make up something, whatever you want, but it means Pilaedat, revealed miracles, our year. So if there was supposed to be miracles back then in Tafshin Nun Beit, as for sure there's going to be miracles now. I mean, it can't be that the time passed. The big miracles, and there were miracles that we just didn't realize their importance. Niflaot, that's the Nun Plaot. This shows on the complete, total revelation of miracles that are separated from anything else. You look at everything, you see everything is a miracle. Just one second, let me just do this. Maybe we can say that this revelation of these niflaot, that there's miracles, this also is expressed in the fact then that God chose the Jewish people. That God chose the Jewish people. That's what he said before. That's how we see the Jewish people are godly people, because God chose us. If in no other way, then the Jewish people still exist. I remember once when I do put on tefillin on people in the streets, a bunch of missionaries came. Thank God they haven't been around there for a long time. I haven't seen any of these missionaries. They used to come and play guitars and stuff like that. And I used to tell them that your religion is it's a big fake. It's a big lie. People are not cursed and they're evil, and you got to believe in this guy in order to get rid of the curse. There's no curse. What are you talking about? People are good. Anyway, eventually they just left. Anyway, so they said, where can you see the Jewish people are God's people? And I said to him, how can you see that we're still here, even though there's been people like you that have been trying to destroy us for 2,000 years? We're outnumbered 1,000 to 1. And you guys have the money, you got the power, and here you're wandering around in the land of Israel, right, like you own the place. And we have the most stupid governments in the world, and we still exist. And this has been going on for thousands of years. That's not a big miracle. That's not a sign that God loves us. They just shut up and they left. And the fact that we exist, that we still exist, is the biggest miracle of all. Kafishik of Ara'in, like we already saw in a revealed way, in this year, all sorts of miracles. So he's talking about Tafshin Nun Beit. All right. Ubehaktin, let's begin. What are the miracles? Asher Agilui, the revelation in the world, the Umot Olam, of the non-Jews, the Malatam Shel Yisrael, and the greatness of the Jews. Mitchasek Midor Bador. It gets greater from generation to generation. Just a couple of years before that, there was Saddam Hussein shot these massive missiles into Israel, and they did no damage. They didn't kill anybody. It was a complete failure, right? A complete failure. Then afterwards, America declared war on our biggest enemy. They tried to destroy Iraq and destroyed the whole place. Destroyed the whole place, which is what we should do to Gaza, by the way. Then after that, Putin, all of a sudden, not Putin, it was Gorbachev. Gorbachev suddenly said, okay, normal Iron Curtain. Everybody could just get out. And they started being built Chabad houses, and people in Russia started revealing their Judaism. Miracles. The world started recognizing the goodness of the Jewish people and the uniqueness of the Jewish people and the benefit they could get from the Jewish people. And says the Rebbe, the closer the redemption comes, and more the non-Jews will reveal the goodness of the Jews. Of course, the Jews, they resist. They keep insisting that it's not so. As a preparation for this, also in the time of exile, we find that even the non-Jews recognize the fact, B'nai Yisrael, that the Jewish people, they are the chosen nation. all the non-Jews know that the Jews, they're called the chosen people. Kanira Bakama Midrash Chazal, like it says in many Midrashim Chazal, and the Gemara, there's a Gemara in Zavachim, it says that the kings of the non-Jews will help Jews to put on garments, which is basically, we saw that's what Putin did. In the Rebbe's time, it was Gorbachev. We saw that the non-Jews were helping Jews. Even the leaders of the nations were. Okay, you do it like it's known that the non-Jews called the Jewish people Am Nivchar, right? Everyone knows that the Jewish people, the chosen people, says in the Bible, then the Quran recognizes it, and all the Notzrim, they know that the Jews, they're the chosen people. They just say that the Jews were the chosen, now we're the chosen, but everybody knows there was a chosen people. You know that the Jews, they're the ones, they're the chosen people. They just say, now we're the Jews with it. Nevertheless, it's impossible to deny what the Jews are, and it's impossible to deny that the Jewish people are the chosen people. Says the Rebbe that the recognition of this fact increases constantly. Ubezen nosaf od yoter, even more in the last generations, and especially in America. Asher hi Medina shel chesed, this is the country, says, of kindness, right? They really help the Jews. Hamatirim lebnei Israel, they allow the Jews to do their service in menuchas hanefesh and menuchas haguf, right? They even help us to do Torah and commandments, and they even help them and help the Jewish people. And here and also in Israel, they help. True, the Rebbe said that they need us more than we need them, but the fact is that they help us. Ubezeh Gufa in itself knows of even more in the last years, and especially in the previous year, Tafshin 1991, when the beginning of this year, we see that the Iron Curtain fell, and they see that the Russians are actually helping Jews to go to Israel, encouraging them. We can say that the Yesh Lomar, the Shaderech Bakal Zed, that the way of all this happened, all these benefits that we're getting, and that the non-Jews are recognized us, this path was paved by means of the great holy Jews, the rabbis, in the course of the generations previously with the non-Jews, and especially of the Rebbes of Chabad, beginning with Admor Zaken. We see that the first Rebbe of Chabad became very, very involved in politics, super involved, that he got involved, that he helped Alexander, who was the Tsar at that time, to defeat Napoleon. He sent spies, etc. She'ata Naseh Tova, that now Russia, which was helped by the first Rebbe of Chabad, listen, if it wasn't for the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, he sent spies and they revealed these big caches of ammunition and weapons that Napoleon had hidden. And he told them exactly where they were so that the Russians were able to destroy them. And because of that, as Napoleon was not able to conquer totally Russia, I mean, Napoleon actually won. Napoleon actually did conquer Russia, but he delayed, the conquering was delayed sufficient time that the winter set in, and therefore Napoleon had to retreat. He didn't have any supplies for his army. And this was mainly caused by the spies that the first Rebbe of Chabad sent, and also the prayers. There's a known story about the Alter Rebbe sounding the shofar earlier than all the others. All the other Jews were in favor of Napoleon, except for the first Rebbe of Chabad, the Alter Rebbe, and he caused Napoleon's defeat. He said he sounded the shofar before they did on Rosh Hashanah, and he said that shows that and they all admitted that he was. We saw that he got involved in now Russia is paying us back and allowing the Jews to do whatever they want. They want to come in, they want to go out. And they're even helping. I mean, if you go, I was in Moscow, the huge Chabad synagogue is right opposite the KGB building. They have KGB people guarding over there, the Chabad building. May it be God's will. There should be more and more, that it should be more and more recognition of the non-Jews, of the greatness of the Jews, until all the limitations of the non-Jews, all of the, how do you say, the hatred that there is of any Jews, any non-Jews to the Jews will be abated, so that the kindness will be able to flow freely. A chesed lebnei Israel, and the greatness of the Jewish people, and aid them also in coming to the land of Israel. That each and every Jew, even now, before Moshiach, has a portion in the land of Israel. Has a portion in the land of Israel. Where does it say that? Here we go, 88. It is in Likutei Sichos, and the Rebbe explains this more in his different speeches that he gave other times. Like it says in the beginning of Bereshit, what does it say in Bereshit? That why did God, Rashi asked the question, he brings it from the Talmud, why did God start the Torah with the word Bereshit? Why? To tell us that he created the world and that the world belongs to him, not to anybody else. And that the non-Jews cannot say that Israel belongs to us, because it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to God, and he does whatever he wants to. That's why the Torah starts with Bereshit, to tell us that the world is a creation and God is creating it. Koach ma'aseh v'gid lamo, that the power of his deeds, God told to the Jews, Torah is for the Jews, Latet lahem, to give them nachlat goyim, a portion of the world, of the non-Jewish world. Excuse me. That if the nations of the world say to the Jewish people, listim atem, you are thieves, right? That's what's being said over the world. Free Palestine. It belongs to the free. What do they mean, free Palestine? It means give all of Israel to the Arabs. The whole thing belonged to the Arabs, right? So if the world comes and says, like they're saying now, the Jewish people, all you Israelis, you Zionists, you are thieves. You conquered the land which belonged to the non-Jews. What do we say back to them? What are we supposed to say back to them? No, there's the white papers, there's the agreements and this. No, we say back to them, the whole world belongs to God. Who bara, he created it, and he gave portions to whoever he wants. True, in the beginning, God gave the world to the non-Jews. What is God's will, he took from them, but not the land when he gave it back to us. Like we see in these days in the United Nations. Eretz Israel, the United Nations, Israel, and especially Hebron, belongs to the Jews. The Rebbe didn't dream that Bibi Netanyahu would go back and give Hebron away back to the Arabs for free, for no reason. A nut. Kasuv, like it says in the Torah, Ubalashan, it says, what's this? I'm sorry, I don't understand. What is this word? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry. Like it says in the Torah, or in their language of the non-Jews, in the Bible, it says, in the Bible, it says clearly that God gave Israel to the Jews. Asher gam heim machshivim moto k'sefer kodesh, that the non-Jews also say that the Bible is a holy book. Of course, what's the big problem over here is the Jews themselves. The Jews themselves, the Bible, a holy book. What are you talking about? It's a book in the library. It's certainly a great literary work. There's no doubt about it. And it is accepted by all religions, and it is a guidepost for all mankind. And this, but it's not God's work, right? This is, God willing, this will be the last moment the Jews will say this. As soon as Jews stop saying that, sorry, as soon as the Jews start saying that the Torah is God, the creator of the universe, the instructions of the creator of the universe to the world, and that Israel belongs to the Jews because God says so. It doesn't belong to the Jews, the fact that it belongs to God, and God gave it to us. He gave it to us permanently. He won't take it back, but he can take it back. He can if he wants. Here we see when he destroyed the temple, the non-Jews took it over, right? It doesn't mean it belongs to them. It belongs to the Jews. The Jews, says the Rebbe, the Jewish people are starting to realize it more and more. Like I say, I don't think even the Rebbe would have dreamed that, at least he certainly did not, expect that the Israeli government would be foolish to this degree that they would give lands free back away. Just give lands free to the non-Jews. This whole thing of Gaza that we're in now, it was just a free, stupid gift that was given by Sharon, and the whole government agreed with him. And the majority of the government agreed with him anyway. The same thing was giving back the Yamit when Begin gave it back. The government, it was just insanity. It was simply insanity. We got absolutely nothing in return except for troubles. Okay, anyway, Mikol, and now from everything, it's simple. How it is, Kama Mushlalis, Betachlis, how is negated totally the Hachraza, this announcement, which was announced later on, that the Jewish people in the land of Israel, they have to give in to the non-Jews regarding to the land of Israel, because this is making trouble for the non-Jews. Unfortunately, all the religious parties in Israel agreed with this. We shouldn't make trouble for the non-Jews. We want to make peace. We have to give up parts of the land of Israel, especially the Shas party. We have to give up parts of Israel. Why? Heyos, because Shehem. So the Rebbe said, God gave the whole world to the Jews. God created the whole world. God created the whole world. He gave the land of Israel to the Jews. The land of Israel does not belong to the Jews. The land of Israel belongs to God, and God is giving it to us. And therefore, there is no way that we can give away parts of it. It's not ours to give away. And everyone agrees that God chose us, it says in the Bible, and that he gave us this land. This land God chose to give to the Jewish people who we also chose. So therefore, it's totally insane and not in any way even acceptable that it says that the Jewish people we have to give away parts of the land of Israel in order to make peace. Why? Because the Jewish people, they're under the non-Jews, and we depend on their kindness. And even more, in order to save the Jewish people that are in Israel, we have to depend on the non-Jews. In other words, our very existence depends on the non-Jews. Says the Rebbe, this is an insane idea, which it's like saying to a person, if you want to really be happy and healthy, take this saw and cut off both of your legs. Then people will like you, and people will be friends with you, and you'll be popular, and you'll be healthier. You'll be healthier. The blood won't have to circulate to so much of your body. You won't have to worry about buying. You'll save money. You won't have to buy pants and shoes and those things, right? That's insane. Who would think of a thing like that? Says the Rebbe, it's even more insane to think about giving land away to the non-Jews. Why? Because the reason we have Israel is because the non-Jews gave it to us. Says the Rebbe, that's exactly the opposite of the truth, and it's exactly the opposite of sanity. We have the land of Israel because God gave it to us, and God gave it to us all the time. We do not depend on the non-Jews. And even though it might seem that we are, but the fact of the matter is not. Our existence 2,000 years, we've existed, right? Not because the non-Jews have been kind to us and because they liked us, they hate us. Right? We saw in the Holocaust, nobody helped us. Even the Jews in America didn't help us, the non-religious Jews. Why do we still exist? Only because of God. It's big miracles. The 6-Day War was the biggest miracle of all, right? And in fact, the Yom Kippur War was even a bigger miracle. At the 6-Day War, we had a little tiny army, and we attacked, that was probably the biggest miracle of all, and we defeated all these nations around us. In the Yom Kippur War, we didn't have any army. Our army was all destroyed. They broke through on the north and the south, and just miraculously, God saved us. And any person with a brain in his head can see that it was just a total miracle. There's no explanation to it. And when Saddam Hussein shot these 39 missiles, and they didn't kill anyone, there was whole buildings that fell down with people in them, and no one was hurt. We see that the whole entire existence of the land of Israel depends totally on God. And so it's insane to say to give any part of Israel away to the non-Jews. First of all, God forbid to say that the existence of the Jewish people is any sort of a doubt. The Jewish people will be destroyed. The Jewish people is an eternal people because they are the people of God, and God is eternal. I am God, I never changed, and you, Jewish people, you will never be destroyed. Number one. Number two, every single Jew knows simply that the beginning of the Torah starts off with Bereshit. And Rashi says that the Torah, that the whole world was created for the sake of the Jews and for the sake of the Torah, for the sake of the Jews. For it's understood, obviously, simply, that it's not the non-Jews that are the owners of the controllers or the bosses over the Jews. God forbid. Because that this is the beginning and the opening of the whole Torah, whether we're talking about the written Torah or the oral Torah, which the oral Torah just explains what the Torah says. This includes everything that every Torah scholar, anyone, and including all the ideas that any Torah scholar is going to discover. The Torah that is taught and in the Tosaf and is added to by means of the Jewish people and all the generations, all the books of responsa and etc., and the commentaries. So it's understood that Bereshit, that the world was created for the sake of the Torah and for the sake of the Jewish people. This is the foundation that's the first word of the Torah. That's the foundation of the whole Torah. The foundation of the whole Torah is that the Jewish people are not dependent on anything or anyone except for God. And despite this, there's a Jew that stands up and he announces publicly in front of everybody, tens of Jews, that they came to hear Torah, that the existence of the world depends on the non-Jews. This was Avadia Yosef, that he was the one who stood in front of everybody and said to the world, right, and all of his followers, that we depend on the non-Jews. We have to. Rabbi Avadia Yosef. The amazing thing, a Pliya B'Davar, is even more when we come now in these days of the month of Tishrei, and all the Jewish people, they prayed, and we said in our prayers, Ata Bechartanu Mikol Amin. We said, you chose us from all the people. And even more, it's so simple and obvious that we depend only on God that no one ever even thought. No one ever thought that you had to explain this. It was just an obvious thing that the Jewish people are God's people. Even the non-Jews, they recognized that the Jewish people were the chosen people. And all the generations, what does it mean? That we're God's people. All the generations, this was a thing that was obvious. Until even now, in the generations, there were all sorts of concealments in the Holocaust and etc. No rabbi would ever stand out and say, we have to give parts of the land of Israel back. No one ever dreamed to say such a thing like this, a crazy thing like that. Even the big Zionists that were against the Torah, against God, they never dreamed to give a part of the land of Israel away to the non-Jews, and this will bring benefit to the Jews. And there stands up a big rabbi who really does know the Torah. He knew the Torah, and he says all of a sudden we got to be afraid of the non-Jews, and their existence depends on them, and we're saving our own lives. This idea that we shouldn't make trouble for the non-Jews, this has no connection here at all, because it's understood that what it says, altid karubim, don't arouse, don't anger the non-Jews. This is not relevant at all to the idea that God created the whole world. That's written in the Torah. And even more, and the main thing is, it's understood simply that when we're talking about doing Torah and the commandments, it's not relevant to say on this altis garo that doing the commandments, this will anger the non-Jews. How much more so in our case? Kasher Medubar, it's talking about pikuach nafshos. We're talking about endangering the lives of millions of Jews because of giving back lands to the non. This was before they even did it, right? The Rebbe foresaw clearly everything that was going to happen. Because you should understand what's happened. Hamas, this is not the first time that Hamas has gone kill Jews. It's happened many times before. And each time the same thing happens. We go in and we start shooting, we bomb, and we kill, and all of a sudden the United Nations steps in and says, okay, enough. You've done enough. You're too much. You can't do it. And we say, oh, yeah, okay, good. But we taught them a lesson. We taught them they're never going to do this again. And then they do it again. And then we go in and we bomb and we shoot and we kill. And the United States says enough. And we say, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. But they're never going to do that again. We showed them. And then they do it again. And then we go in and we bomb. The same thing all the time. And they don't care at all. Their whole existence, and it says that that's their constitution. Their whole existence is only to kill Jews. And the world agrees with them. Here they have these big meetings all over the world. Says the fact is that it's all caused by us giving into them, by us giving them lands. From these lands, they're launching all these attacks, launching missiles. Every day there's missiles here in Kfar Chabad. There's missiles. Like it says, they have this iron dome thing that's Shusana. Like it says, the Shulchan Aruch, it says in the Shulchan Aruch, Nachrim, Shetzaru, Al Iris, it says in the laws of Shabbat, we said this, it says that if non-Jews lay siege to a Jewish city, if they come, or because you know that they're going to kill people, so it says even if they haven't come yet, they're just preparing to come, is you have to go out with weapons even on Shabbat, defile the Shabbat.
We have a hard time getting a certain person to smile that just gets on our nerves, whether it's a tzedakah collector that makes us crazy and we
I'm sorry, hello?
Just curse the guy out and tell him to just give us back our money. Whatever it is that challenges us.
One second. We'll talk about this in one moment. I'll mute you for a second, please. 1 second. Let me just finish, and then you can ask questions. You can make comments. Let me just finish. In bola ask enough nafashos afilu wadayin lo bo, even if they haven't, the non-Jews have not come yet, is we have to go out even on Shabbat and take weapons and stand our ground firmly, and even defile the Shabbat, because if they even think that the non-Jews want to take away anything from us, not just land. It says that if they even want to take straw and hay, that's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch, especially in a year, which is a city which is next to the border, as we have to go out, even if it's matters of just, here it says kash v'teven. All they want to do is just take straw. The non-Jews have a big army, and they say, listen, we're going to attack you. All we want is one bushel of straw. That's all we want. Give us one bushel of straw, of hay, for the king's, whatever is donkey. And you see all these weapons we've got? We've got atomic weapons. We have all these things. Give us one bushel of straw, and we won't attack you. The Shulchan Aruch says it's forbidden to give them that bushel, because if you do, you're endangering all the Jewish people. If they wanted to attack, they would have attacked. It shows that they're afraid to attack. They want to see if you're more afraid of them than you are, that you're more afraid of them than they are of you. So they say, give us straw and give us something. Make a little concession. Show us that you're afraid. Oh, you're afraid? That's what we were looking for, right? That's what we're looking for. They'll attack. So it says it's forbidden to give them anything. Exactly the opposite. You have to go out with weapons. It doesn't make any difference what weapons you've got. You have to go out even on Shabbat, defile the Shabbat, and say, because it's endangering life. Do not give them anything, even straw. And here a rabbi stands up and says, give them land of Israel. That's just totally, it's suicidal. Shema Yokadua, because maybe they'll conquer you. So therefore we can see that it is insane to make any sort of a concession or even thought of a concession to them. May it be God's will that you should repeat these words. And even King David said, Shagiu, that we should repeat the words of the Rebbe, and everybody should know it's a tremendous mistake to give land. King David said, Shagius miyavin, who can understand if you make mistakes? And nevertheless, there shouldn't be increase the mistake by saying all sorts of explanations. That's not really what the Rebbe meant. He really meant this, he really this. No matter what, it's not going to help. Whatever you give to the non-Jews, it's just going to make worse. And truth from the land of Israel will grow. And the main thing is that we won't have to talk about negative things anymore, only in the praises of the Jewish people. And by means that we add on Torah and we do add on the commandments, including also learning chitat. And I hope everybody listening to this class will tell others, Chumash, learn the Torah portion every day, learn the Tehillim, the Psalms of the day, and the Tanya of the day, Chumash, Tehillim, and Tanya. This will help defeat the enemy and strengthen Judaism. And main thing is that we have to add and announce in the whole world, including to the non-Jews, how important the Jews are. Bereshit, that God created the whole world for the sake of the Jews, and that we are God's chosen people. And this eventually will be revealed in the Geula Mitit V'Shlema, and the total redemption of all the Jewish people. And God will give us not only the 7 lands, but also the other 3 lands, the Keni and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni, which that's on the other side of the Jordan River. And immediately on this Shabbat, God will reveal big miracles. And the big miracle of all, that God will give us the Geula Amitit V'Shlema by means of the Moshiach. Mashiach Tzikenu. And immediately we're learning Noach. That's this week's Torah portion. As Noach means God gave, satisfaction to the upper world, satisfaction to the lower worlds. And afterwards, next week, we'll learn about Abraham, that Abraham left everything that he had in order, left everything. This relates to all the Jewish people, even those that are found outside of Israel, Chutz La'aretz, and also those people who are found in the land of Israel, right, that all of them will go. They will move, all of them, together with all the rabbis and all the great tzaddikim of all the generations, that all of the Jews in the world will do like Abraham, lech lecha, they'll all leave wherever they are, to the Holy Land, to Jerusalem, to the holy city, to the holy mountain, to the holy temple, the 3rd temple, Beit HaMikdash, immediately with the arrival of Mashiach. Okay, it took a little bit of time, but now let us deal with the questions. You had questions? 1 second. Stop recording. It doesn't stop. 1 second. Stop the share. I think in order to stop the recording, I have to do it from here.